Hi, I'm Beaver Buddy. Get ready for a magical children's story with a heartwarming moral about kindness, bringing unexpected joy. What would you do if your tears could grow flowers? In a lonely desert, a little girl named Luma made flowers bloom with every tear she shed. Luma lived where the sun burned bright and the sand stretched forever. Her hair was golden like the sun, and her eyes sparkled like hidden rivers. Luma's only friend was the wind, who whispered stories in her ear at night. But she wished for someone who could talk back and laugh with her. One day, Luma tripped over a pebble and scraped her knee. Her tears fell to the ground, and to her surprise, tiny buds sprouted at her feet. The buds quickly blossomed into bright red flowers with petals soft as silk. Luma gasped, amazed that her sadness could make such beauty appear. Soon, Luma began to cry intentionally, wanting more flowers to grow. She hoped the blooms would attract friends who might stop to admire them. Each tear became a seed of color in the pale sands. Yellows, blues, and purples danced in the wind, making the desert look like a rainbow. One afternoon, a creature appeared, a tiny camel with wings like a butterfly. He was called Nimbus, and his fur shimmered like silver clouds. Nimbus had been drawn to the colors in the sand. He fluttered down beside Luma and asked gently, "Why do you look so sad among such beauty?" Luma told him of her loneliness and how she hoped the flowers would bring a friend. Nimbus smiled kindly and said, "You've found one already." The girl and the winged camel spent hours together, playing among the blooms. They made garlands, sang songs, and told each other silly jokes. Days turned to weeks, and the flowers spread across the desert like a living painting. Luma no longer cried, for she felt happy and loved at last. But the flowers began to fade without her tears to water them. The petals drooped, and the once vibrant desert started to look dull again. Luma was torn. She didn't want to be sad again, just to keep the flowers alive. Nimbus tilted his head and said, "Perhaps there's another way." They decided to search for a hidden spring that, according to legend, lay beneath the oldest dune. Together, they set off on their hopeful quest. The journey was long and hot. The sand swirled around them like golden waves, but they kept going, guided by the sparkle of Luma's dream. At last, they reached the dune that touched the sky. Luma placed her hand on it, and the ground trembled, revealing a narrow crack below. With courage in their hearts, they slid into the crack. Cool air brushed their faces, and a soft humming echoed, like the desert singing a song. Inside, they found a hidden cave with walls covered in glowing crystals. In the center, a tiny spring bubbled, clear and pure as a new day. Luma dipped her hands into the spring. The water felt alive, like liquid light. Nimbus drank deeply, and his wings shimmered brighter than ever. Together, they carried the water back, drop by drop, using a hollow cactus stem. Each splash brought color back to the thirsty flowers. As they worked, the desert itself seemed to awaken. The breeze carried the scent of blossoms, and even the sun felt softer on their skin. Then the ground shook again. From beneath the sand rose a towering creature, a gentle giant made of stone and roots, called Koro, the Keeper. Koro had watched over the desert for ages. He spoke in a voice like thunder wrapped in kindness, thanking Luma for restoring balance. The giant promised that the spring would now feed the flowers forever. Luma's tears were no longer needed. and joy could fill the land. With a wave of his mighty hand, Koro made rivers bloom where sand once ruled. The desert became a garden of wonder, full of life and color. Animals arrived, drawn by the water and flowers. Birds, foxes, and even other winged camels came to make the desert their home too. Luma was no longer lonely. She and Nimbus had started something magical. Their friendship had turned the desert into a paradise for all. Every night, they lay under the stars, listening to the songs of the wind and the laughter of new friends, their hearts full of peace. Moral: true kindness and teamwork can bring lasting joy and beauty where sadness once bloomed. See you soon with more magical adventures, wonderful places, and heartwarming tales with Beaver Buddy.